Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this very nice, actually sunny morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Never mind the Russians approaching from the old border there. We got plenty to talk about today. However, as Bitcoin does head down towards our daily targets in the low 39s to upper 38s, and what that sort of means for the short term, medium term, and we might even address the long term as well in this video. If not, definitely check out the long term analysis playlist. I upload a video there each and every Sunday, and it is still very much relevant for those looking for like a more macro view. Other than that, I think I should humbly request, yes, the old like and derp if you want to, if you just want to get back to this channel, or if you find this content valuable, whatever it might be. If you so desire, then that would be the easiest way, and also costless as well. And then also, we're going to be going to Monaco for the first time, checking out the F1 next month, I believe it is, with Bybit actually. So I should probably shill them. Check out Bybit. I have a link in the description below. They give you 3,000 or 4,000 deposit bonus that you can go get wrecked with. Of course, just fucking joking, man. Look, if you're not already a profitable trader, I would not suggest trading. I would suggest maybe trading a demo account or a testnet account, of which they actually do have. So I can definitely commend them on that. And I mean, they are kind of just the best exchange out right now, especially for the Wild Wild West. Anyways, other than that, let's jump into it right here, right now. Let's start off with the short-term time frame look, as we did get our short-term time frame continuation. So yesterday we were looking at the $41,500 region as a short-term bounce area. We got that short-term bounce about $1,000 to the upside, and we said any sort of a lower high below, or any sort of a rejection, especially below about $44,000 or 43,800 to be very specific here, very likely does lead towards our next leg down, in line with the daily targets somewhere in about the $38,000 to $39,000 region, of which Bitcoin current low of the day is 39.2 or so. So what does that likely align with for the short term right now, and what does the ranges look like for the short term as well? Well, in this case, we're kind of in no man's land right now, but I would look at about 41.2 to 41.5 as the top side of the short-term time frame range, meaning that bounces can come up there if and when Bitcoin does want to bounce, which I'm not so convinced it is just yet. And I would be looking for short-term pullbacks from there at the very least. And if you see any sort of a short-term rejection right there, as that X sort of indicates, I'd be looking for that next, major leg down in this case. Other than that, we do see 4-hour BBWP starting to get to extremes here, but we haven't seen it curl down just yet. So I really would not call the corrective bounce until we get something like that. I need to see that turn down, and specifically below the moving average on it. Until then, Bitcoin at best, I think, trades sideways here, and probably tests another short-term downside move. Also should follow up on the 4-hour RSI. No regular bullish evidence was confirmed. It was potential yesterday, but unconfirmed, pending a closure above, I think it was about 42.5 or so. Obviously, Bitcoin got exactly rejected right there, which is actually equally as important, obviously. But for right now, I should highlight that on the 4-hour, again, representing sort of the short-term timeframes. There's actually not even potential for regular bullish evidence yet. It would imply that Bitcoin at minimum trades sideways here and tries for another slightly lower low. Anyways, other than that, the other thing that I think likely correlates with maybe a little bit of sideways, maybe a short-term bounce in the not so distant future, again, mostly based off of the BBWP, is going to be the hourly funny rates over here, which are approaching their lowest levels that we have seen in a few weeks here. Now, keep in mind, you do expect these to be negative when you are within the context of a nice down move, but well, fair enough. It's negative for the first time in a while, so we'll just leave it at that. Give the Boulaws their due diligence, as well as short-term time for momentum. Should also highlight this as well. We do see, as far as short-term time frame momentum goes, the 12-hour is, let's go to CME, this one's just going to be better, is going to be pivoted around about $40,000, just under $40,000 in this case. 6-hour is going to be showing 40,100. 4-hour is, sorry, we are not on CME right here. Let me go to CME, apologies. 12-hour is going to be pivoted at 40,400. 6-hour is going to be pivoted at 39.5, 50 exactly. 4 hours, 39.6, and hourly is going to be showing, it's going to be loading for forever apparently, but I've already looked at it this morning. I can assure you of that, and it is up, yeah, 39.4 or so. So what are we likely looking at? A little bit of sideways here, and then if you can see Bitcoin remain above those levels, it probably does set up for a short-term bounce, maybe for the next day or two, but I don't think that we're there exactly just yet. Close, but probably at least a little bit more sideways here, maybe one more slight move to the downside. Remember, the daily signals obviously have taken over, and and I should follow up on this as well. So we'll go back on over here. Let me get rid of the hopium for right there. That is hopium. Okay, very adamant about that. But if we go over here, I want to once again create this sort of this sort of a scenario, starting off with the daily open interest representing, or sorry, not the daily, but the global open interest, which represents obviously leverage positions. We saw it get up to 14.5 billion on that last move towards about 48,000 bucks. The reason why that is relevant because that created a massive divergence between open interest and price action compared to even Bitcoin's failed rally in late December at about 52,000 bucks, where there was almost a billion less open interest on the board, but significantly higher prices, you know, about like 10-15% if I'm doing momentum, like 10% or so, somewhere around there. Anyways, why this is also relevant is because anytime in the past couple of years that we have seen open interest get above about 13.5 billion, plus confirming a local high, which Bitcoin certainly did that below 44,500 bucks, which is why I started to switch around to get quite bearish below there. We've seen on minimum about a 20% pullback, if you will, or crash, and even up to like 50% in some scenarios. Anyways, in this case right here, where would sort of a 20-ish% pullback put Bitcoin from high to low? That would put Bitcoin right around, you know, somewhere between about 38 to 39,000 bucks. So very close to where we're at right now. You also notice on this chart, that's exactly in line with the 618 Fibonacci retracement here as well. You could argue that Bitcoin's maybe even almost hit it. I do not trust diagonal trend lines like this, by the way. That is just for the hopium scenario that we'll address a little bit later. But combining that with a leverage ratio, which by the way is at new all-time highs, never been higher than this, and even the daily fronting rate, which is ever so slightly positive, I'd say that there is still a risk lower here, and I suspect that Bitcoin probably does have one more leg down. If we go over here to the daily stochastic momentum, you'll notice that daily stochastic momentum is pivoted around 46,000 bucks. That is to say that momentum remains to the downside as long as Bitcoin is below there. Buy daily is obviously well down as well, below 48, and the 5-day is pivoted at like 43,000 bucks on spot, which is really important in alignment with the long-term analysis, which maybe we'll address here, but probably not super relevant. Anyways, to also combine that with one last thing, we could look at that daily BBWP signal, of which that is very well playing out. Anyways, to go over this, and again, we can go even further back in time, but I do want to save you the time necessary for this. In the past few months here, going back to the start of this new year, 2022, anytime that we have seen daily BBWP, you know, in like the teens or especially single-digit percentiles, the move from there has been, you know, quite similar to all of the past ones. So what do I mean by that? Well, I want to highlight all these green vertical bars right here, as they do represent those expansions of volatility off of the BBWP. And the move that we have seen extrapolated from there has been, well, a lot of them very similar, we'll say. First one was almost 24% move to the downside. Most of it, or direction, was set in the first day and follow through significantly in the next coming days. Then we have this next one over here to the upside in February, about 24% almost to the upside. Most of it, the direction was set in the first day, and most of it was done in like the second day off that expansion. Same thing over here, but to the downside, most of it done in the second day, and about almost 20%, 23% on this one as well. And then of course, more recently on the March rally, a decent amount done in the first day, for a total of almost 23% yet again. And we have the same signature over here as well. Even one of the lowest BBWP reads, of which we're seeing expansion from that. Most the direction was set in the first day. Confirmation for my sort of bearish look on this was done in the second day or so on that move. Yeah, or sorry, actually, I guess it was kind of on the 1.5 day. Anyways, thus far, you know, again, we have about 18.5% move to the downside, which is significant. But, you know, if we were to put it in alignment with the other ones, 20-ish% puts Bitcoin in low 38. 23%, which is actually a little bit more in line with the other ones, puts Bitcoin at about 37. So I do think that is very reasonable to be looking for potentially a wick down there in the next week or so, maybe even sooner rather than later, and probably does bounce from that region to be quite fair as well. And then let's go over what the hopium scenario would be here. Now, I again would actually move down the criteria relevant and necessary to confirm a macro bear trap in this case. Yesterday and the day prior and the day prior than that, we had it about 45,000 bucks. I would now actually move it down to about $44,500, kind of a bit of a consolation prize there for the boo loss, you know, if you're getting beat up for quite some time. But here, I suppose, is the hopium case. Do I have it on this chart? I think I do. Yeah, okay. So the hopium case in this scenario would be Bitcoin's just coming back down on a higher term time frame. It's going to flip back around somewhere in this blue box, set in a higher low along the way, work its way back up, trade sideways for another month or two, and then work its way back up specifically above that 44.5 or especially the $48,000 region right here. At that point, we can start to talk about $56,000 again, and probably just new highs, to be quite frank, in the following months. But this would be hopium again. As we kind of addressed over here on the more long-term look, there is certainly risk lower based off of this signal, which has still not confirmed. Actually, we have not seen confirmation on the expansion, and momentum is about to turn down. So if you want the full explanation on that, definitely check out the weekend's video on Sunday in the long-term analysis playlist, as it'll kind of go over the best case and worst case scenarios. In that case, that would be at least my sort of look for a worst case scenario. But until then, I'd give Bitcoin a chance, very, 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 very likely to bounce somewhere in this blue box right here. And that would be very telling if Bitcoin starts to, grind its way sideways and up, setting in a slew of higher lows along the way. That would be essentially my sort of best case scenario for Bitcoin from here. Other than that, I think this is a good, probably a good area to kind of let go of this video right here. Maybe I should go over the short-term time frame range resolutions. Basically, I'd be looking at it the same way as before, right? All of these fibs right here kind of relate towards range resolutions. We could even move this one obviously down significantly towards about 43 to 42.8. But ultimately, as long as Bitcoin's below 41.5, I look at anything below there as a trending lower high, very likely to lead towards lower lows in this case. Bitcoin does start to close above here, which I think if it is going to happen, probably not today, then I would be looking for a move, another decent move to the upside in the short term. Somewhere around here, same thing. If Bitcoin closes above here, I look for that move up to potentially the bear trap scenario confirmation area. Again, I think that this is, it's quite far away for right now, but perhaps it does become relevant later on. Anyways, until then, if I had to call the short term, probably a little bit of sideways, probably, another drop to the downside, and then maybe a bounce later today or tomorrow, something like that. Anyways, I'm going to be signing off right now. I want to wish you well. And yeah, until next time, take care.